Hey guys, how you doing? Coach Mitch here. First, let's talk about 7 words that are going to get you pushed back for 6 months, maybe 9, maybe a year. What do I mean? You say these words during your interview, you're going to cause and cast a lot of doubt towards yourself from the panel. So what are these 7 words I'm talking about? Maybe. Well, maybe I would. Perhaps I could do this. Possibly. Well, it's possible. Possibly I would. Probably. Yeah, I probably would do. Might. I might do that. Hopefully they would. Well, I guess. You see what I'm talking about? Now, yes, I did a little bit of performing there, but even in the most professional stance, right? I'm sitting here in a nice suit and tie, right? Well, I possibly would do this. Perhaps. Maybe. This is a federal level law enforcement position. There's no time or room for maybes and possiblies and I coulda, shoulda, wouldas, right? This is the challenge we have in my coaching program. It's a great challenge because I love a challenge, right? I love making my winners out of you guys, right? But coming from the civilian world into the paramilitary world, you had to perform at that level at the interview. So none of these words, maybe, perhaps, possibly, probably, might, hopefully, I guess, those are what I call my 6-month words. Those words get you pushed back at least a half year because you're not going to get through the interview using words like that. Now, what do you use, Mitch? No problem at all. I would, I will, those words. Those are positive words. Those are words that law enforcement uses because you have to use words that are firm in nature, right? And directional. What does it mean by directional? If I say to you, possibly, probably, who knows, right? But directional, when I was in law enforcement, I always use words like that. Affirmative words, positive words, directional words. There was no way you can get confused with what I'm telling you because I never said maybe, possibly, never, stuff like that, okay? So don't bring it to the interview. Now let's get down to 4 points this interview panel wants to see with you, okay? The first point is this. At least 2 of your questions at the interview for CBPO, it's going to involve working your booth, your post, blah, blah, right? We know that already. But what they want to hear from you is booth post control, right? How are you controlling your area? And yes, you have backup all around you, but they're going to be asking you, how do you control the area? And within that question, you cannot defer to, well, my backup's going to come, my soup's going to come, major's going to come, whatever. You can't do that. The question's for you. Number 2 is always in that same context, there is safety. It's your booth. Are you looking for safety, right? And then the last one's that R, right? Now, remember you guys, STAR, right? People use STAR wrong. They use it too overtly. Situation, task, action, result. No. Just throughput. What happens at the end? What's the result, right? I push my people hard on the results. And don't worry, you guys are never by yourself. I'm with you the whole way, But I get my folks through this whole process at 90.4% rate. So you know what I do works, okay? Anyway, they're looking for throughput. That's what they want to see. Number 2 is this. When you defer or refer someone to secondary in this interview panel, you have to understand and be sure of what you're doing. So when you say defer to secondary, you just say it, right? With confidence, right? You can't say, I probably would defer to secondary. Maybe I would defer to secondary. That doesn't cut it. That shows a lack of belief in yourself, a lack of confidence. You cannot talk that way to this panel. Either they go to secondary or they don't. And if you don't know what secondary is, you shouldn't be up there in the first place. I am so happy. About 40% of my people don't even know what secondary is, right? Before they come see me, but they know enough to come and see me. I applaud you for that, You knew you didn't know these things. You came to see me, and now they're all gone and past. They're doing their stuff now down the CPP route. But stop right here, you guys, for a minute here. I want you to, if you're serious about passing this serious interview panel, the structured interview. If you want to pass it, click the link down below, get into my calendar, let's meet one-on-one. We have a lot of work to do, but we can get it done. I record my sessions with you. They're recorded for you. You get lessons from me all the time. You guys get homework all the time. That's how it works, right? Email me all the time if you want to. Always respond back within 2 hours. Everybody knows that already. I respond back very fast. My goal is to make sure you pass. Let's go on. You have to have, number 3, authority awareness. What do I mean by that? So many people come to the interview and they're not even aware of the authority they should have. So Mitchell, but I've been a civilian all my life. How would I know? Well, you would know it in my coaching class because I would teach you when to use it, when not to use it. Because in this interview panel, you have to assume you have on the uniform and the authority. If you come out there like a civilian, you're not going to make it. You got to know when to incite your authority and how to use your authority. And I say this strongly because I know 32% of people who see me are people who didn't pass the first time on their own. And then when I coach them the first time, I can see it's obvious to me why they didn't pass the first time. They're missing so many things. They're trying these things on their own, this interview at the federal level on their own for law enforcement, and they fail, and I feel bad, but of course you're going to fail because it's only a 40% pass rate, you know? So I implore you to understand when to use your authority, okay? Always. Last one is always. It's always measurable outcomes, right? When I made my coaching program 6 years ago, my master's is in economics, so I'm a very much of a measured outcome type person, right? The same applies to my coaching program here. When we get done with the answer to me, I gotta know what the measurable outcome is, especially in law enforcement, right? Because everything you guys do is looked 2 or 3, 4 times by who, right? Supervisor, whatever. They look at your actions if it goes that way, right? So your outcome has to be measured. And if you know what you're doing in this interview process, you'll feel confident about your outcome of the interview process. I just got an email a few days ago from one of my clients. He says, I'm humble, Mitchell, but I knew I was going to pass. And he did pass. He was more than ready for it, of course. So he passed. If you guys are serious about passing your CBP structured interview, get into my coaching program. The investment with me is small. The investment with me is very small compared to the 20 plus year career you could have as a CBPO. Take care. Bye-bye.